it's funny to me when we see the odd social media troll, complaining about this football fact we got wrong or not. But like, oh, yeah, who doesn't mind? Jurgen Klopp, man. Mikel Arteta.
They let it slide.
They see what we're doing here. Why don't you take a look?
Joining me now, two gents that I imagine Brené Brown believes to be the greatest American duo, a crap you not, since Hall & Oates. Friends who came out of the Amsterdam comedy scene as if it was the Ajax Academy, proceeding to craft a truly beloved show which went from pandemic stealth cult favourite to global sensation, winning Emmys at Eclipse Manchester City, win Premier League titles, and giving the world an ecosystem of characters, kindness, and bravery, while not being afraid to reveal a pathos that challenges us all. The third season of Ted Lasso is now faintly audible around the globe, available on Apple Plus. It's an incredible joy to welcome, in a moment that is as close as I may ever come to raising a beer with the Diamond Dogs themselves, Ted Lasso co-creators Jason Sudeikis, the one true king of Kansas City, and my mate, longtime friend of this pod, king of scat, Mr. Brendan Hunt. Oh, welcome, gents.
Oh, hey, Raj. Thank you for yet another glorious welcome.
Goodness gracious. I could have listened to that for another 20 seconds.
I'll give you another 15. Deal. But first of all, I've got to congratulate you on this incredible confection that you've crafted. And this show came to us in a time of darkness, August 2020, peak pandemic, resonated so deeply, gave the world a lifeline of nourishment, hope, belief, gave us all the ability to cope with the real darkness of life. And now you've just decided to end it. WTF?
Well, I think the world's fixed.
Yeah, everything's fine now, Raj.
We did it.
Everybody's good.
We got to move on.
Our work is done here.
We're living in a world in which your fiction has blurred with fact. In the last month alone, Masters champion John Rahm described how Be a Goldfish helped him win the green jacket. And last night, LeBron James, in one of the most existential playoff series of his life, strolled out pre-game in the AFC Richmond hoodie, and the Lakers tweeted the word believe. You gents have created a quasi-religious theology for our age.
That theology minor is really finally coming through for us.
I read the back of Dianetics and I was like, we can do that. Come on, that ain't tough.
We don't need these gadgets and personality testers. No, just throw a sign up there.
No.
Make sure it's got high contrast colors. they'll lap it up.
By the way, I should note that LeBron did go 5 for 17 and the Lakers lost the game. But
Hey. Cut that out. Trim that.
But perhaps the thing I love most, something singular about the skin of the show, the tone, is a mix of British humour and American can-do optimism. Was that conscious, that fusion? Like, we're going to try and split the comedy atom? Or is it just an unconscious reflection of both of your natural personal influences?
I think it was pretty intentional, actually, because that's the crux out of the fish out of water of it, is we are putting this Midwestern, Jimmy Stewartish guy into this English world, and like, we were literally thinking of the tone of The Office, the original Office, when we were putting the show together, and that kind of evolved into, like, if we're going to set it in England, we have to honor, like, the English comedy we love and English like pace and English style. So you are reading correctly, sir.
Ted Lasso himself you said you were influenced by a number of real people in the construction. A lot of Midwestern gents. I've read you talk about John Wooden, his teachings as a model and a philosophy. But was there any manager in soccer, football, that you modelled him on? Because football, I interview a lot of managers. They're amazing human beings, but it's not a place, a culture, the Premier League, with a lot of nice guys.
Yeah, I mean, not really. I mean, John Wooden would have been the biggest. But I think we've certainly noticed, and as I've become more aware of, football coaches in the Premier League, people that have those and are known for it. Like when a person that early on spoke of digging the show, Jurgen Klopp, it's like, yeah, that guy's has a very similar vibe. Like, you like hearing about him taking his players out to do karaoke. It's like, yeah, that's great. Or people wherever, if they're in a city, like, wait, just walking down the street is like, is that all of Liverpool? Like in their full, training kits and everything. It's like, yeah, and that feels exactly like something Ted would do.
Who is Zava based on? I mean, a lot of people think Zlatan, but I put a ton of money at the bookmakers that he's just a thinly veiled Alexi Lalas.
Well, thank you for saying that, because every time I get this question, the lawyers get nervous, and to honor the lawyers, just to be very clear, Zava is drawn from any number of
the collective,
the eccentric diva types that have populated football since the days of Alf Ramsey, who's not a good example, but yeah, there's a lot of Zlatan in there. There's a whole lot of Zlatan.
Yeah.
We knew, with Ted having to try to win the whole effing thing this year, it was like, okay, well, if that's really going to happen, you've got to have a world-class player. Who do we want to draw from? Well, we kind of already did Ronaldo with Jamie to a degree, and Messi, he just fits in too well in any room. Yeah. But the old Zlatan sparks, those could fly around this room pretty well. And then Zava was where we ended up.
So Lalas it is. You were very right to be careful, because he's very litigious.
I was the one, like the one thing that was fun is more than half of our writers' room could care less about the sport. Like so a lot of these times when we end up speaking about things, they end up using sport as metaphor, or using showbiz as a metaphor for explaining sport, or vice versa. And so really, Zava is the example we would give is like, if you got $1 million to make your small little indie movie, and then like Tom Cruise says, I want to do it. And then you're like, wait, what? So that increases your budget, increases the eyeballs, gives you all this autonomy, but it's also now Tom Cruise. You got to worry about what he wants at craft services. Like, it's a big darn deal when Tom Cruise says yes to your movie, or Cameron Diaz, or like one of these titans of industry. And so like that's a little bit of what we're doing there with Zava. So that's like less, of an influence of like one specific person, but I would say almost every character on the football side is like inspired by something, that really happened, or based on, like loosely based on someone that we already know exists, but then we dump about like 7 to 8 other influences into that thing, and then just make other shit up.
See, God bless you. Season 3, we are in the midst of a joy-filled learn to cycle romp. Richmond have been promoted again and are battling for mid-table security. Touch of the Fulhams about them. Yo-Yo Club also living out Nate the Great's betrayal, filled with a lack of self-esteem. He's gone the full Mourinho. I am interested in your creative process. I read you once said that you knew from the very beginning that you wanted this to be a 3-act structure, hence 3 seasons, how you were going to land the plane. But did you really know from the beginning that you'd send sweet, sweet Nate on this former kitman to hitman arc?
No, not right off the bat. That was revealed. I remember when we were shooting, it became very clear to me while shooting episode 4, or maybe even in the writing. Actually, no, it was actually more clear in the writing process of like writing episode 7 that it was like, oh yeah. And that's one of those things I think a lot of writers will speak towards.
You'll know that as the Everton episode.
Yes, the Everton episode, yeah. The intoxication of new fame, to not really say a quote that Rick James said, but like, new fame is a hell of a drug. And so what happens when you get everything you want, and how hard that is to deal with. And so that's what we're doing there. So yeah, it was when writing episode 7, when Nate gives the halftime speech, and he just lays in and just becomes like a Don Rickles roast comic. And I was like, oh, uh-oh.
But a slight segue, Nate's club, West Ham. How did you choose West Ham to be the bad guys? Did I have to sign off on that? Or is David Moyes just like, yeah, embrace that heel casting? How's that work, Brendan?
Oh, yeah, David Moyes was super happy about it. We wanted, like, okay, Rupert's going to buy another club. What club would Rupert buy? We decided that he wasn't quite rich enough, to be an oil oligarch. So it'd be, Chelsea, Arsenal, anything in Manchester would be sort of out of the question. And anyway, he would want to stay closer to home. Like, maybe the South. No, it's got to be London. And process of elimination, West Ham was was pretty quickly it. Now, I should note that when we were writing this, Fulham was in the Championship, and there was no guarantee they would be promoted. Fulham might have made more geographic sense, and our transpo budget would have plummeted instead of having to go all the way out to Olympic Stadium, which is rumored to be in London, but I'm not sure that's actually the case. So West Ham it was.
But I want to talk about you both on real football, because there's times over the past year when I began to think that you were only filming this incredible global sensation as a means to an end. And the end was not to create a television show, but for you guys to find a way to watch as much top flight English football as humanly possible. What was that experience like to watch and make memories together as mates?
The football world has really opened up to us. Like it's funny to me when we see the odd social media troll, complaining about this football fact we got wrong or not. But like, oh yeah, you know who doesn't mind? Jurgen Klopp, man. Mikel Arteta.
They let it slide.
They see what we're doing here. Why don't you take a look? When given access, one might not have it forever. Yep. One must take up that access.
Yeah. Mine. Yeah, right.
Jason, at the beginning, you said, I love football, but I described myself a little like Ted, as ignorant but curious. But little by little, it seems you've become quite a diehard Arsenal fan.
Last night was a doozy because I would say that my two favorite teams, getting into it, one being, as close as I am to this fella, and them also having a tremendous history. Arsenal has, and also things like, the All or Nothing show, where you get to spend time with the folks, on and off the pitch. The same thing we're kind of doing with the show, but in real life. But then getting into FIFA and playing a lot of FIFA over the last 4 years, then that Man City was my team that I would use. And so, and watching their All or Nothing, before we started writing, and then really, digging Pep and his verve and fashion sense. Of course, we speak about that a lot on the show.
He does things with cashmere that have never been invented before.
Yeah, I know, and they all look great. That's the other thing. I mean, it's not just his choice, it's also his body and the way his silhouette. It's like, and it's he's got like one of those little Mick Jagger waists. It's like you got to put in an extra hole on those belts. It's like, I wish.
Well, thank God that sentence ended in belts.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy.
If Arsenal do not win this title, this season of magic memories and rainbow-infused unicorn dreams turn to ashes. The frustration of a mentally and physically shattered tailspin with that finish line in sight. What a human agony. What would Ted Lasso, Jason, say about that experience?
I feel like you'd probably speak towards the marathon of life versus the sprint of a season. I mean, similar to something that actually Colin Hughes says, don't cry that it's over, that we didn't win, smile that it happened.
What would Brendan Hunt, the real-life Arsenal fan, say?
It's one of those things where you look back before a season and go, okay, would I have taken X? And the goal for the season was Champions League. Champions League has now been assured. Yay. I mean, even before this City game, this bad run they went in feels like kind of let an opportunity, slip through Arsenal's hands. Having said that, it's not over yet, and maybe the unstoppable death football robots of Man City can actually have a trip up or two in this crowded fixture list they're headed toward. So #believe.
Turning up for the premiere of Season 2 in Los Angeles, and you rolled up at this glitzy affair with a sweater that became global news. Jadon and Marcus and Bukayo, a tribute to England's 3 young, talent-soaked black footballers who've been subjected to racial abuse online by their own fans in the wake of England's heartbreaking Euro 2020 defeat in Italy. It says so much about who you are and what your eyes have been open to while making the show to make that decision to wear it.
Maybe it's part being a father. Maybe it's part having grown up with playing athletics and having friends that had missed the big shot. Again, basketball being more my sport. I just couldn't help but think how tough that would feel just doing what they love, having a chance to do it on behalf of their country, and then it not going their way. Then when all the stuff started to happen online, it just upset me. It was just angering me. And here we are, this show that had this giant platform working for this giant, the biggest, company in America. And they're going to throw out this beautiful, gorgeous, blue carpet for us. And yeah, I landed in LA and I just saw that, that style of sweatshirt or t-shirt is fairly, iconic. And I just saw it in my head. And then we found a place that could make a t-shirt really, really quick. And I sent it in, and I used the fellas' first names because I just want to remind people that they're young men. I was like, I didn't want to use their last names. That's what's on their kits. I want to use the first names, the ones that their parents gave them. I don't know. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. It just felt like a big deal for us, in the sense of just showing our support. I didn't know people were going to respond to it the way they did.
British Vogue went mad for the sweater. They did a feature on it and on your style, which you ended with this incredible quote. I love that Phil Foden kid. I've got Jason. What do you love about Phil Foden?
He reminds me so much of like the point guards I would hate guarding. I would hate playing against. Like, he's just got a swagger to him. He's got that little pigeon chest, and he just like kind of like walks around. He's just like,
You were asked if this third season is definitely the last one, and you said, it's definitely the last season of this story, that I can say. And you've hinted about possible new iterations. What does that mean? Are we like Ted Lasso prequel, NFL career, like Hard Knocks meets Yellowstone?
Golly, these are all great ideas, and if we use any of them, you don't see a dime, buddy. I mean, the reason the whole three-season thing even happened, and we never knew we were going to get to do it, but when Brendan and Joe and I sat down way back in 2015, we just were kind of modeling it after the British Office, that had 2 seasons of 6 episodes, and then that, amazing Christmas special. And so we had always had, one season, 2 season, and then floated this idea of like, oh, and what if we did, instead of a Christmas special, like a movie that took place in a match in real time, 2 halves, the pre-match. Yeah, exactly. So, and still a viable idea, but then the thing took off, and we were allowed to tell all 3 seasons of this story in this arc. I mean, it's flattering that people ask. There's a little bit of me, the Ted Lasso in me, and in all of us, I think, would want us to live in the moment a little bit and just be happy with what is ongoing, is only halfway done, that being season 3. And there hasn't been enough time really for this treadmill to slow down to like really marinate on that in the same way that we were marinated on the first 3.
Jason, Ted Lasso has changed. It's changed many lives. Serious question. How has it changed your life, changed you as a human being?
I'm not a method actor. At least I don't think. I've never been trained in it. Maybe I'm doing it accidentally. But the ability to access that mindset, the Ted Lasso mindset, which I think is in any of us, in all of us at different degrees, and be able to click into that and sort of feel the responsibility of conveying that, when meeting people or hearing people's, feelings about the show or their reaction to the show or how it's helped them through difficulty, whether it be because they've gone through a similar thing with maybe a parent, like Ted's father, or have made, were thinking about making a choice like that for themselves, or it helped a family member, deal with, something in a hospital room or a classroom or what have you is I wouldn't say overwhelming, but it's very moving. And it feels something that you can't help but change the way you view people and the way you meet them wherever they are, and to just kind of like offer a little grace and space towards whatever they're going through to and hopefully can turn that same those same values on to myself and to the people nearest and dearest to me. Not just the strangers that are brave enough and kind enough to come up and say hello or share their stories with us.
To more grace and space, to more football fandom grounded in love, and to both of you, to your continued success, to AFC Richmond, to your Arsenal. Thanks, gents.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Raj. I miss you.
Subscribe here for more Men in Blazers videos and courage.